Welcome to another podcast coming to you guys live. Me and my co-host Greg Horn. Greg, how you doing? You ready for another pod today, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready. A little saddening to announce that Gentlemen's Club will no longer be joining us in the league. Obviously Meyer was a big fan of them, and obviously, it sucks that we're losing them. But it's good that I'm leading the pick'em thanks to my boys Nick Strong, 13-5 to 12-6. But there's a lot of good Legacy League action that was last week, and a lot good action to come. So I'm excited.
Pretty excited too. I don't like how you had to sneak that little diss in there. You took the lead from me in the pick'ems, but defending champ coming back from my
by one game.
One game is all that matters. That's all you're winning by right now.
I pick above the rim, Lord.
All right, Greg, let's get right into it, bro. Let's start off the way we normally do with our surprise on the rise. And last week we did the consensus picks because, we explained how it's starting to get a little bit narrow in terms of our options. But I think we got a good one for this week. Another team similar to last week, how we went with Team Moose, defensive-minded, physical team. This week we got Sportslook, who, made some recent additions to their lineup. And we knew that these were coming because I don't know if I told you this, Greg, but the week before, Christy came up to me from Sportslook and he was asking me what the roster limit is and if he, how would he be able to add guys and if he has to talk to Joey. And I said, yeah, you do have to go talk to Joey and get that all settled out. So sure enough, they made some additions, Greg. That team came back and even you agreed with me. They were deserving for our consensus pick on surprise on the rise.
No, yeah. I mean, what this team has done, what they've added in Brian Acevedo and Tyrell Holmes is, Brian Acevedo is a former all-first teamer in Summer 16 and the All-Star game in Summer 16. I have experience with him on 10-foot, and I've experienced with him in 8.5. And look, he's not the best player in their team, I don't think, anymore. I think Tyrell Holmes came back, and I think me and you agree. He looks bigger, he looks stronger, he looks better than ever, and he looks more aggressive, and just it looks like he's kind of flowing. I think a lot of players, we're seeing it this year with Devon Pratt especially. A lot of players, it just takes a little bit of time to adjust your game to this 8.5-foot rim. It's a lot different. You have to play a different style of basketball. And I think he's starting to figure that out. But with Brian Acevedo, I think it's just about shaking the rust off. I think he has to play a different role on this team than he did in the past. In the past, he had to be more of a volume shooter. In his past seasons, he took 147 shots, 185, and then 221 in Summer 16. But he does shoot a 45% clip and over 34% from three. So Brian Acevedo is one of the better scorers we have in this league, and I think it's just about him shaking the rust off and Tyrell Holmes keep doing what they're doing because they fit so well with this Sportslook team with Jeff Norco and Nick Baccarella and all these guys. Dan Korkoros. I don't even know how the hell to pronounce this last name. I'm just going to call him Dan Money because he's money from three now, and he's one of the most improved players we've seen in this league. But Brian Acevedo coming back, a former all-first teamer, runner-up for MVP, I believe. He is something that they didn't have, and he's a dynamic that gives them shooting, gives them someone who's not afraid to go amongst the best of them, and gives them the most experienced player in the league, or I should say one of the most because he was there from the beginning. So adding Tyrell Holmes and Brian Acevedo gives this team 4 legit stars now, and they're deep. And what doesn't hurt is he's a career 22 points per game scorer.
Yeah, he can fill the well, dude. I told you to get some stats off of Brian Acevedo, and you did a good job of that, Greg, because you hit it right on the head. He's an experienced player who has experience carrying teams. You know what I mean? So now with a team where he actually doesn't have to carry the load nearly as much as he had to do in the past. I think this will be a good fit for him. Like you said, he's probably got to get accustomed to the league again just because he took a season or so off. So, once he gets his flow back, I'm sure that alongside like they're already stud players like Norco and Dan K. Then you said Terrell, and you're right. Terrell does look a little bit beefier. Looks like he's put on some muscle since the last time we saw him. So definitely some key additions to this team who we already thought was an up-and-coming team. I think we said earlier before we went live, Greg, that this team went from being like a dark horse contender to a legit actual championship contender. So I apologize, guys. I might have to clear my throat a couple times. I'm pretty sick right now. Greg's dealing with me. I don't know how he is, but here we are. We're getting through it. Greg, let's get right into the recap, my man. Shocker City versus TMC. This was supposed to be like our game of the week, dude. This was, 2 of the heavy contenders that we really thought were going to be in it till the end of the season, and they very well still could be. But unfortunately, TMC showed up like they have been multiple weeks now throughout the season, shorthanded, without their star, Reggie Stewart, and some supporting cast members as well. So this was not a pretty game for them. They got blown out 114-72. And you would think that Shocker City, this would have been the Greg Daniels show, but guess what? they were missing some of their best players as well because he wasn't in the gym. And they still found a way to get a 40-plus point blowout out there against one of the better teams in the league. And even despite not having Reggie, dude, TMC is still, I say, even without Reggie, one of the top 5 teams in this league.
Yep.
So, this was a disappointing effort nonetheless for them. And, to see Devon Pratt come out here and drop 32, 12, 6 assists, and 2 steals, he's got to be a favorite in the MVP running. And this Shocker team's got to be a favorite to go all the way.
Yeah, Devon Pratt's having a career season, and I think, in my opinion, one of the best seasons we've ever seen in this league. Mike Davis Brotherhood comes to mind, Craig Langston, Monstars, Terrell Vargas, one of the earlier No Limits here, Acevedo, Sports Look. I'm trying to think. Reggie Stewart, Run TMC. Maybe Deontay and Jerry, one of them from the Chasers run, but Jalen Graham. But Devon Pratt is averaging 23 points per game. He's shooting 66% from the field. 66. He is shooting 48% from 3. And he's top 10 in shots from 3 in the field. He shoots and he hits. He averages 8 rebounds a game. This is a guy who you think's a guard, and he averages 8 rebounds a game, plus 4 assists with a steal and a block per game. He does absolutely everything for the Shocker City team, and it's so impressive considering his past years, 15 a game, 17 and 10. And he's only shot 44% 2 of those years, and then 57 in 1 year, but he only played 6 games that year. What he is doing, he's absolutely the favorite for the MVP. He has changed the dynamic of this entire Shocker City team, because if he's playing like this, no team can even come close to them. There is no way, if Devon Pratt is playing this well, you're going to be able to stop Jerry Washington, Mike Davis, Devon Pratt, Greg Daniels, and God forbid if Deontay Washington shows up to one of these games. My Lord. It is just – this Shocker City team is shooting 56%. Excuse me. This Shocker – I told Connor this before the show. Shocker City is shooting 40% from 3 on the season. Run TMC is shooting 43% from the field on the season. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, the efficiency it's been there, just to say the least. They've really capitalized on their efficiency, and that just ultimately makes you a more productive team on the basketball court when you can knock down shots at a high clip and just be efficient with your possessions, minimize the turnovers, all that stuff. Is like the little
Jason
things.
Hernandez?
Yep, Jason Hernandez has been playing big time, and I feel like he's, and now in a team where he kind of pulled the Kevin Durant, where he went from being the star of a team and just couldn't get over the hump to now he just joins a bunch of superstars, and it's just like it comes so much easier to him. It looks like he's more comfortable now. He doesn't have to carry the load as much, kind of like what we talked about with Acevedo and Sports Look. So, we see that impact players in a positive way in a lot of different scenarios, and you're starting to see it work out here for Shocker City. So definitely a team to look out for. And before we move on, Greg, I just wanted to give a shout out to Cody DiLeonardo, who just continues to put up points.
Captain America.
Captain America, 21 points on 9 of 12 shooting, Greg. So not even like he had to take too many shots to get 21. I've never scored 21 in legacy leagues. I've never really even been kind of close to that. I think I've only hit like 14 or 15 as my career high. So 21 points on only 12 shots. Yeah. Somebody, I think that Greg said, give Cody more playing time ASAP right there in the chat. You see it if you can. But yeah, Cody D's got to get out there and start balling a little bit more for this TMC team because he's earned the extra floor time. And if they have they're short some bodies. I don't think they should feel worried about sending Cody out there to eat up those minutes because he's deserved it. So real quick, right before we go on, anything you've seen from Cody throughout the season?
Yeah, again, I call Captain America because he's like he's not. You go into the gym, you're not going to be like, wow, Cody's one of the better players around TMC, but he is. He's there. I'd argue this year he has had their second best season outside of Reggie Stewart. Like he is just what he does for this team. He does everything. He hustles. He rebounds. He takes smart, efficient shots. He doesn't take dumb shots. He even hits his threes. Cody does everything. He is the glue for this team. And when they have their full team there, he's so important because he comes off the bench and everyone thinks, oh, we can take advantage of this kid. And that is not the case at all. Cody can handle himself amongst the best in this league.
I 100% agree, Greg. I think that's a sneaky point that you brought up, how their roster is very intimidating, and when you see him come on the court, you might think, "Oh, this is."
It's like the Avengers. When I call Captain America, he's like, "You like, oh, it's the Hulk, Thor," and then it's like, "Oh, it's this guy with the shield." Well, that's Cody DiLeonardo, and he'll cook all your ass.
I know you love your superheroes more than anything, so you get a Captain America reference from Greg Horn. Know that means a lot. That actually
shout out Cody. This podcast is a Cody DiLeonardo fan club.
big Cody DiLeonardo, guys. And I know that I think I mentioned this on the pod before. He graduated from the same high school as me. So there's some brotherhood there. So big fans of Cody D on the pod. And even though he came up on the short end this week, it definitely wasn't his fault for that. So that was a good game. It wasn't as competitive as we wanted it to be, but nonetheless, it told us a lot going forward this season, and it will have a lot to say.
I set the line +3
playoff seedings. And yeah, I just want you guys to watch there, Greg laughing. He's a clown who actually picked the +3, and I was like, "Yo, what are you doing? You're not setting a good line here. It's gotta be higher than that." I know TMC's got talent, but Shocker is they're big boys, dude. And TMC's gonna have to prove that they can keep it within 3 before we put them up.
And they can prove they can show up to the game.
Right. And I know they didn't have Reggie, but they lost by 40, and they didn't
have
Eric
Greg
Daniels. So, yeah, no Eric. It was big rim protection.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So
who knows what's going to happen there. But, Greg, let's keep it moving. We spent a lot of time on that one, but rightfully so. Two of the better teams for sure, so they deserve it. But another pretty good game here, Greg. I was actually on this game. And this was Chasers versus Team Moose. And, dude, this was a ball game. I'm telling you, Chasers lost this game 50-58, but they had chances to win, and they were up by double digits in the first half. They had all the momentum. They were cruising. Jalen Graham looked awesome. And I was watching on this game alongside, one of the interns, Meyer, who I'm sure everybody's starting to learn who Meyer is through his 2-minute drills and his funny appearances on the post-game shows. But Meyer was like, "Yeah, dude, I've been hearing a lot of hype about Jalen Graham, but I haven't really seen it yet." And I'm like, "You're going to see it this game." And sure enough, he did. Greg is queuing up a photo over there that we're going to show you guys of Jalen Graham actually looked like he got into a sticky situation into this game because that Team Moose defense just found a way to limit him. Jalen went off for 23 points. No one else even on his team at double-digit scoring. And he was, trying to find ways to create offense for his team. But Team Moose keyed in on him. Brad Seaman made his return. He had 11 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. And this new addition, Will Ingersoll, former surprise on the rise earlier in the season, Greg.
You called it. You get it.
I picked him because I knew this dude was going to be a baller. He didn't even have a great game when I picked him. He had like a terrible shooting night from the field, but I just saw some potential in this dude. And then last week, the 50-point bomb. He comes out this week with actual bodies helping him.
He did it.
And Will Ingersoll just continues to put it together, Greg. But I want you to analyze this Team Moose defense and what they did this game to make a comeback on the Chasers and squeak out a late win.
No, yeah. So me and Connor obviously are playing around with this hangout stuff, obviously. And, there's a video of this, but the videos, the quality's not the best. So we have a picture, and I think this is the best spot to show you just because look at what Team Moose does. They're so good at trapping you and not giving you really any options. I mean, Jalen Graham right here, he could give it out to Kevin Porter right there, but I would rather give it obviously to Jamal in the corner, but there's no way he's gonna. He's got Dan and Brad right behind him, and then he's got Machos coming in right in the front. And if you watch the full video of this clip, I believe it's in the highlight video, or the post game, you'll see just how aggressive and they're so resilient. They do not give up out there. This Team Moose defense, this epitomizes this Team Moose defense. They know what a team does. I think the best way to put it, you mentioned how they were down in the first half. They're like the Patriots. They make the adjustments at half every time. They realized, all right, Jalen Graham is killing us. We're not going to let him kill us. We're going to make the other players on his team kill us and do the damage because we know Jalen Graham can do it. And again, this picture shows it perfectly. They are not letting Jalen beat them. And that's what, in the end, won the game for Team Moose.
Yeah, they just found ways to force Jalen to get the ball out of his hands, like you saw right there. Jalen is so good at shooting. So what naturally he likes to do is draw defenders out to the 3-point line to guard his shot. Once that happens, he also has one of the best handles in the league. So he's going to put the ball on the floor. He's going to go right by you, and he's got that jelly roll layup package that he spent mad VC on in the 2K. I don't know how the hell that he hits some of these finishes. And Moose knew this. Moose knew the scouting report. They knew he's going to shoot, and then when you come up on him, he's going to go by you. He's going to go to the rack. And that you see it collapsing bodies at the rim, forcing him to get the ball out of his hands. And with good defense, they swipe the ball, they get it on the floor. He's got open shooters that he can't even see because there's so much chaos going down there in the paint. So that's just typical Team Moose defense. They're not necessarily the most talented defenders. They're just so smart in the way that they defend teams. They utilize what they have in the best ways possible to make it difficult for teams to score. There's no crazy secret formula or method that they're doing. They're just smart basketball players. They play with a high IQ, and that's why Brad Seaman is who he is. When you see him show up, it's not necessarily the physical things he's doing out there on the basketball court. It's the mentality that he has set for his team, that everybody is going to play unselfish. Everyone's going to play their role. He's like the Bill Belichick of the legacy leagues.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Brad Seaman it is so raw. I love the interns, but man, they did a huge disservice not knowing him on the post game. I mean, he is what he does for this Team Moose team. This Team Moose team probably loses this game if Brad is not there. What he brings to the table is unmatched by any player in this league. I'm not talking about how good he is, like at basketball. I'm just talking about what he brings, just for team chemistry, like leadership, everything. It makes Team Moose what they are.
100%. I can't agree anymore, Greg. And that was just, that was a good game. That was actually probably the second best game on the night in terms of just how competitive it was. The next game was another one I was on. I got to watch two of the better games, two of the most competitive games of the week. And this was the Nick Strong versus Young Kings game. Nick Strong squeaks out that win 78-71. I had the Young Kings, I'm pretty sure, when we did the pick 'em on the preview show with Joey and the guys last week. But I just thought that they were going to put it together. And, of course, Dustin Simmons doesn't show up so literally 2 minutes left in the second quarter. So that definitely hurt my team's chances in getting the win for the pick 'em. But nonetheless, Dustin balled, bro. He had 26 points, 4 rebounds, and a block. But his Young Kings still came up short, 71-78, like I mentioned. But dude, Nick Strong, the Vasicchio brothers, I think somebody called it the drip gods on the pod or on the post game. They come Meyer, dude. Meyer's a comedian, man. 48 points and 17 rebounds for these two, man. 2 guys combining for that stat line. So don't think that's all one person, but nonetheless, that's 2 guys right there, and they put up numbers. Ant was just firing his threes, which he normally does, but they were falling. They were falling this week, and then they got Nick Durso, this guy who's really physical.
High flyer, man.
High flying, please. He's a true slasher, Greg.
Yeah, he is.
I've seen him once or twice. It's not as pretty as you would want it to be, but
he can pass too.
Yeah, he can pass and he can drive to the rack with the best of them. And he threw down.
He was supposed to be at the Young Kings too. He told them he wasn't going to play, and then all of a sudden he played on Young Nick Strong.
Wow. So this was like a little was a little rivalry game here, a little storyline that we weren't following. But Greg, talk about this game and what it meant for these two teams going forward for the rest of the season. This
game is huge, and again, I know I said it on the when we were doing whatever on Sunday with Joey and Ryan, but I mean, Nick Strong is putting together if there was like a rankings instead of standings, if there was like well, there are power rankings, but like, I mean, if there was like a rankings actually like college basketball does, I mean, dude, they lost to TMC, but TMC had Reggie there by 6. They lost to the Chasers by 2. They lost to Shocker City by 11. Think about their roster compared to Run TMC's, even without Reggie and Eric. They lost to Shocker by 11 points, and Greg Daniels was there. I don't know what Nick Strong does, but they're putting together. I know at the end of the season, their record is probably going to be like 3 wins, maybe 2. But, I mean, they are just putting together a season where everyone – I remember Sam – we were doing the pre-pod show, he was saying, I don't know, I expect them to be at the bottom of the standings, and yeah, they are. But I guarantee you, he and no one saw Nick Strong competing the way they have this season with the talent in this league. And we absolutely deserve to give them more credit, because the Young Kings, I think we consider Destin Simmons and Cash are awesome. Eddie's a beast. Miles Raymond, Dante Abad, the little Frenchman, and my boy Napoleon. I don't even remember his name, Lacubetta or whatever. They're good. They're awesome. And Nick Strong every single week finds a way, despite their limitations, despite how they're not as athletic or not as tall as anyone, to go out there and compete with teams with Mike Davis, Greg Daniels, Reggie Stewart, Jalen Grant, Dominic Langston. So I tip my damn hat to that team. Shout out Nick Strong. you are doing a hell of a job in a season where it's probably the deepest it's been and the closest competitive wise.
Yeah, the field is a lot smaller than it's normally been, so that means that the teams are a lot more compact and competitive. Before the week started, the past week, Greg and I went through all of the past teams from our first season when we were actual analysts for the league, interning for the league, like you see the guys doing now. And we went through and we were just trying to remember all 20 teams that we watched and analyzed and wrote for during that whole season. And then when we finished the list, we actually did finish the list. Yeah. Actually, no, we got 19.
Fry time. Shout out Fry time.
Shout out Fry time. The
Rich
one
Starkey.
team out of 20 that we couldn't remember. But we had all other 19 teams, and then we sat there and said, "Dang, dude, that was actually one of the more fun teams one of the more fun seasons, just because there was like 5 or 6 teams at the bottom, but they were all really close in terms of their competitive skill. So all those teams just like played for each other's wins when they got matched up with one another. So at least they had chances for wins. It wasn't like they only had to play like the top team. So this season's not like that though. It's like if you're not in that top echelon, you're going to be left out. And I feel like that's what's going on. So like you said, dude, considering all circumstances with this season, how competitive it's been, the small field. So it's crazy to see Nick Strong playing as well as they have. They could be so much further up there in the standings if they were able to squeak out those late wins. And we talked about last week on the preview show how like I said they were reeling, and you were like, nah, they're not. So I got to give you credit because you saw this one coming and you
know what it is though. I think I've noticed when Nick Durso shows up, he makes such a difference. He gives them like an athleticism they don't have.
Right. Yeah, he's a good, like I said, he's a good slasher, and they have like Ant who shoots like Kobe from outside threes. It's nice having somebody. Yeah, it's nice having somebody who doesn't shoot, right? And even though maybe he could shoot, it's nice to see that he doesn't want to take that shot too often. He'd rather just focus on what he does best. And we always say, like, I think I said it multiple times already just today, just know your role, stay in your lane, do what you do best, and your team will be better off. And I feel like that's what he's doing. So shout out Nick Durso and the Vesicchio brothers. And hopefully our guys, the young kings, dude, Eddie and Destin. We like a lot of guys on that team. Dante, all those dudes, all really good dudes, dude. And they're all good at basketball too, it's just they're not clicking right now. They're not clicking the way that we want them to be, but hopefully they get on track and can make some noise for the playoffs, because that's all it's about. Everyone makes the playoffs, get hot at the right time, upset a couple teams, and you never know where you'll end up. So that's our words of encouragement for them, Greg. Let's keep it on to the last game, dude. There's only 4 this week. Flint Tropics had a bye week, of course. So this last game was the Rim Breakers versus Sportslook. So this was actually a game like we mentioned. Jeff Norco and his crew, they balled out. Sportslook 56-41 with the additions that we mentioned earlier in the pod. Greg's queuing up another still shot for you guys over there. Let's see what he's got for some analysis. But Greg, talk about the Sportslook team and the win over the Rim Breakers.
I just wanted the audience needs to see. If you guys need to check out Top Plays, I'll plug our Top Plays. Go check it, YouTube Legacy League. This is the Tyrell Holmes we're talking about. Now, Connor, me and you are huge Chris Leak fans, right? I mean, Chris Leak's awesome.
Big Chris Leak. Awesome dunker.
How big is Chris? Tell our listeners how big Chris Leak is.
Chris Leak is sneaky pushing 6'4". I'm telling you, he's a big boy.
And Tyrell Holmes finishes this dunk over him with look at Rich Bronson. Rich Bronson's looking up like, man, Chris, they're about to do this to you. I hope they don't do this to Chris. And he did it to Chris. And this is what the Sportslook team is missing. They had everything. They had Jeff Norco can do it all. They had shooting. Dan Kay can shoot now. I think me and Connor agree. He might be the most improved player. But they have a guy now who can put someone on a poster literally like that. And it's just this Sportslook team, what they proved to us this week is just so impressive. Again, Nick Strong, they're not winning games, been proven something just because they're competing, and we did not see that coming. Sportslook's proven to us that they can maybe win it all. They're one of the top tier contenders in this league. Brian Acevedo, he comes in. Maybe he struggled to dunk a little bit, but he's getting his feet wet. He got to get used to it. He's getting back into it. But Tyrell Holmes comes in, pushed Chris Leak on a poster twice in his first two literally dribbles, first three dribbles. He puts him on a poster twice. He hasn't missed a beat. This Sportslook team is deep, and they showed it in this game. And it was just, and it's such an impressive outing from top to bottom by Sportslook. And I can't wait to see in coming weeks what they can put together, because the Rim Breakers, I think, are one of the better teams. Obviously, minus Joe McLeese not being there really hurts. But I got to see more from Rim going forward because I love that team.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier in the pod about efficiency and with Shocker City and just, how effective they are on the offensive end. This Sportslook team is basically the same way, dude. They shot 50% as a team, okay? And the only player with less than a 40% field goal percentage on the game was Brian Acevedo, who was 2 for 6. So he didn't really take that many shots. You can tell, Acevedo used to shoot like 18 times.
I think it was
so
hurt.
First came back.
He said his elbow was hurting him.
Right. So he comes back. He's easing himself in. And think about it. 2 for 6. He makes one more shot. He's 3 for 6. He shot 50%, and it's a good game. So everybody else is very efficient from the field. They shot 50% as a team, like I mentioned, which was 10 points higher than the Rim Breakers, who were sitting at 40.5. So this was a big deal for Sportslook to come out there and be effective. And Jeff Norco was the head of that with 14 points on only 6 shot attempts. Went to the free throw line 6 times, Greg. How many free throws did Jeff Norco hit in his 6 shot attempts?
All of them.
Every single one, dude. And look at Jeff Norco. This dude hits the gym, okay? This guy can probably bench press me 3 times my weight, just over and over and over. He's an absolute monster. He's a tank. And when you got guys like that drilling their free throws, he's not even like a guard who finesses guys and shoots the ball. He's an actual big body who bangs. He goes to the line, he hits his shots. Dude, you really you're looking at a future rookie of the year, if you ask me, in Jeff Norco. What do you think about that?
Look, him and Greg Daniels. It's gonna be a good race to the end for who gonna get rookie of the year between Greg Daniels and Jeff Norco, because I'm a little worried. Well, I see both teams. It's both teams. This is my thing. Shocker City might be in so many blowout games that it benefits Norco because it's not going to be close games. But Daniels might get more stats because of that. And Acevedo, I think, is a volume shooter. Same with Tyrell and they need to get the ball around. I think that Norco is so savvy and so smart. He could care less about his stats. He just wants to win. So I think it's going to be interesting ways to see what their end of their year stats look like, because Norco showed he can score 30 or he can score 14. He's going to impact the game no matter what. Agreed.
All right, Greg, real quick, man, before we get into our power rankings, let's give a moment of silence for our boys, the Gentlemen's Club, because they are done.
Yeah.
They are out, and it's over.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. All right,
Yikes.
it was good. Had to pay our respect. They are in the graveyard. They are out. Yeah. They threw in the white towel. Flint Tropics had to bye this week, and it stinks because the schedule is set up. All these teams play every single week, and then a team drops out. So there will be some bye weeks to finish out the season. Just want to let everybody know that that's forthcoming. I'm pretty sure next week it's Sportslook who has the bye. So it stinks because we want to see these teams every week. We like seeing these guys. We like analyzing these guys, and I know Gentlemen's Club wasn't like a real contender, but nonetheless, it's fun having all different types of personalities in the league, and we hope that maybe they come back. I don't want to say it was all because they quit. I think they did quit as a team, but it might have been related to guys not being able to show up with their work schedules, things like that. We don't want to speculate too much, but it stinks that they're no longer with us. Yeah. So that's probably the last time we'll mention it. Just expect going forward that there will be bye weeks and that will be part of the pod. So let's keep it going, Greg. Let's get into these power rankings, man. And now that we have less teams, this is another thing that it impacts. It's going to change the way that we do it. So instead of doing bottom 5, top 5, we're doing bottom 5, top 4. So Greg, why don't you lead off with your 9 through 5 teams?
All right, so at 9, I got our boys, the Young Kings. Hopefully they can break out of that. I know they can. I know they got the talent. At 8, I got Nick Strong. Look, that just shows how deep the league is. I just praised them, and now they're balling out, but they're at 8, unfortunately. 7, Rim Breakers. Look, Rim, if you lose next week and Nick Strong wins, I'm sorry, you're dropping down. I can't keep giving you the benefit of the doubt because you guys, I know how good you guys are. I can't. And 7 rim, like I said, and the same thing goes for our next team, Run TMC. Look, I know it's low for a team that has probably the second best roster overall in the league. Show me it. I know how good you guys are. I love you guys. I love so many guys on that team. Joey's my boss. Love him. Like, show me it. I know how good you guys right now have the 6th best field goal percentage and the 6th best 3-point percentage in the league. You have Howie fucking Miller, excuse my language, Howie Miller, Eric Singleton, Eric Langston, Joey Zacco. Y'all are really shooting 40% from 3? Seriously. Shocker City's shooting 56% from the field. 56. You're just as good as them. Shoot it. It pisses me off because I know how good they are. Eric Singleton, I can see the frustration when Eric's playing. And Eric, I can just see it on their faces. They're just frustrated because they know they're good and it's just not working. I know Eric Langston didn't show up. I know Reggie didn't show up. But I don't want to fucking hear that just because Reggie's not there, y'all can't compete. Just because Eric's not there, you can't compete. You guys are so good. Howie Miller's arguably the best shooter we've ever seen. Eric Singleton is the best, probably two-way player, you could argue, in the league. You guys are good. Go out there and get him, TMC.
So that will conclude this episode of What Grinds Your Gears with Greg Horn. As we're moving along here. So I got to give you my bottom ones now. And there's definitely going to be a disagreement here, Greg, because you know that I don't have TMC that low. So here it is, my 9 through 6. I got Young Kings at 9, Nick Strong at 8, Rim Breakers at 7. That's all the same. But I got the Chasers at 6, Greg. So, you know, I know this Chaser team has had some big wins. They made some huge additions, getting Jalen Graham, and he's definitely going to impact that team in a positive way going forward. And we were talking about that, you know, just a few minutes ago. But, man, dude, I just don't have a lot of faith in this team as a real contender. I just see something blowing up in their faces during the playoffs, maybe later in the regular season. You know, I see these guys complaining a lot about calls. I see these guys arguing with each other. They got to just, you know, keep their cool. But the thing is, I didn't see Dominique Langston. So, you know, once Dominique Langston comes back and they have him and Jalen on the court at the same time, this team will have a different dynamic. But this is a week-to-week thing. And right now, I'm not totally up on them. But, you know, the upside for me to be up on them is there. You can't forget I was the Chasers guy this season. They won the championship and was all over them. So I'm a big Chasers guy. And I hope that they can get it together. But this is where I got them right now. And I got TMC, you know, a little bit higher, Greg. But I'm going to let you tell us your top 5 before you hear where I have my TMC ranked.
No, yeah, I mean, I understand what you with the Chasers. You have the Chasers at 5, and I understand it completely. Moose at 4, Sports Look 3, Flint 2, and no shocker here, Shocker City at 1.
Yeah, it's tough to not have Shocker at the top. You know that I'll have them there too. So real quick, my top 5. I got Moose at 5, Run TMC at 4, Sports Look at 3, Flint at 2, and Shocker at 1. So Greg, obviously our one big change, you know, there wasn't a lot of differences this week. TMC and the Chasers. I had TMC at 4. You had the, you know,
did TMC move down from last week? Do you remember?
I think they actually
they were 3 last week, right? Because Sports Look probably jumped.
Yes, you are right. They did move down. So for me, they did move down. Sports Look took a big jump. We got to talk about Sports Look. They were our surprise on the rise. Spent a lot of time analyzing them, and this is just a team that's just made a lot of improvements and definitely deserving to be up there in that top 3 now. What do you say, Greg?
No, yeah. I mean, look, Shocker. Look, Flint had a bye week. We've talked about them, so I'll give them a little love. Obviously, I'm the Flint guy. You know, Flint's playing very well. They're second in the league in field goal and 3-point percentage as a team. They're playing phenomenal basketball. 51%. Them and Shocker are the only teams as a team shooting 50% or higher from the field. And them and Shocker are the only team shooting over 35% from 3. But I will say Shocker City shooting 40%. No one else is. But, I mean, it's just – Flint, what they're doing, TJ Gianni's having a career season. Mike Bizzuto looks more comfortable. Matt Sear looks better. Mike Juron coming. You got to remember the Flint teams we had Juron play, and then the Japs came and he left. Now they're all playing together. Right. I think this is the best team they've had. They could obviously maybe use Vin Gambino. He was a pretty good guard. But, I mean, Flint's balling, and I got to give credit to them. Sports Look, I mean, we talk about them so much. They're improvements. They are a well-oiled machine, and they have the talent to bring the championship home. I truly believe that. I mean, they have a chance. And then Moose and Chasers, I got 4 or 5, obviously. You brought up the Chasers. Look, I completely agree. I think they remind me of the Blue Devils in the sense that without Mike Davis, in the sense that like they have the talent, but it can't just be Jalen Graham. It's got to be, they got to work together. They got to look, the refs are annoying. I know refs suck. That's how it goes. But you got to fight through that. You got to keep your head in it. The biggest thing the Monstars would do when Greg Langston was there, and I always say it, is no one ever complained. Greg made sure that it was like, yo, we just move on to the next play and keep your head up. And that is what the Chasers need to do because they got the talent to really do something special in this league. And I hope they do. But I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm worried about the Chasers. I am.
Yeah, and it's tough to not complain with refs. If anyone's played basketball, you probably complain about a ref. I've complained about a ref. Greg,
we all have.
About a ref. Everyone does it to different extents, different extremes. That doesn't make anybody, a bad basketball player or a bad teammate for complaining with a ref. Like I said, something we all do, but minimizing it to where it's not becoming something that is associated with your team. Like when people see the Chasers show up, you can probably expect if you're on that game as a ref, you're gonna be like, ah, shit, these guys are about to kill me. So I would see that from their perspective a little bit, and that might also impact the way they get calls. That's just something you got to be on a relationship with the refs. I know some guys that are really good with that. Dominique Langston, he's on the team. He wasn't there last week, but Dom has like a really funny relationship with Ange and some of the refs. And, I don't want to say that gets him calls, but just having a good relationship with the officials, I feel like that's something that we don't really talk about enough, and, could have a positive impact on your team, if it goes well.
Yep.
But, it's just the sneaky way.
Mike Davis is a great example.
Yeah, or it's kind of like comparable to like in the NBA, like certain guys would get away with things like Kevin Garnett and those guys in their heyday, throwing the elbows down there on the block, and if you're good at it, you'll get away with it. If you're not, you won't. But that'll wrap it up real quick for our power ranking segment of the show. That was definitely one where we had more agreements and disagreements, but these are always unscripted between me and Greg, so we never really know what we have until we say it to each other. So it's always fun hearing, where we agree, where we don't. But this week it was big disagreement with Shocker. Or I'm sorry, not Shocker. Shocker is the consensus agreement at the top. It was TMC and the Chasers this week, but we'll see where those guys fall next week. Greg, let's get into our next week's preview. This is going to be some good games starting at the top.
Very redundant.
Yeah, I know, right? You might have heard these last week. This was, of course, due to a schedule change when Gentlemen's Club decided to bail. So this is last week's game shifted to this week, and then the games that we just recapped were actually the Week 6 games moved to Week 5. So, Greg, let's get into it. I don't think too much of our picks have changed, but you got the 1-point lead in the pick'em. Hopefully I can make a comeback on you, but I doubt this first game that we're going to go through will have any disagreements as Shocker City takes on the Chasers. Chasers a good team. They had Dom. It'll be a good game, and Jalen, but I got Shocker City.
Yeah, I agree. The Chasers are going to come out hot. I know David Armstrong. This is a very close game. They're all real close, these guys. And it's going to be a great one. But Shocker City's got too much, man. I mean, the Chasers are last in the league in team field goal percentage and fifth in the league in three-point percentage. Shocker City's first in literally both of those categories. This is a complete mismatch. It's one of the more efficient teams and better shooting teams versus a team that kind of grinds it out and plays and, just kind of plays their brand of basketball. And Shocker City is just going to, unfortunately, I think they're just going to have too much for this Chasers team. I think it maybe could be close, but I mean, Shocker City, I think, just has too much in this one.
Yeah, they got the star power on their side. I don't think we can even argue that. But our next game, Greg, TMC taking on the Young Kings. This is going to be this is not going to be good for the Young Kings. I think that they needed a game where they can just get back on track and just get some wins under their belt. And TMC is not a team to do that against, especially coming off a loss. I think TMC is going to come out with a vengeance and take the win in this one.
Yeah, TMC is going to, especially if they heard what I just said about them and I ranted, they better come you better. You know what? I'm putting a challenge on you, TMC. Wait, you owe me a pretzel, by the way, for the Young Kings, man. For the Young Kings, wait, what was the pretzel bet again?
He doesn't even know the pretzel bet, and he's telling me.
The pretzel bet was for the TMC. It was for this week, remember? Because we set a line for TMC Young Kings, right?
Oh, yeah. That was on the preview show, right?
Well, was it? No, it was on the pod. I thought it was for this TMC on Kings, right?
If we set a line, I don't remember setting a line during the pod, but we did set lines on the preview. But I could be mistaken.
No, because on the preview we did. Whatever. But anyways, we're gonna touch. I got TMC. I agree. I think they're ready to show out and come and just ball. I think they're ready to really just, great example. I know you ever seen The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler, and he's talking to the warden, and he's like asking him for advice. Sandler doesn't want to give it to him, and then he's like, "All right, you need a tune-up game." I think this is going to be Run TMC's tune-up game. I love the Young Kings, but I think they're catching TMC at a bad time when TMC's pissed. You got Brzezinski posting videos of Mike Davis crossing Eric Singleton up on Twitter when Eric's fucking saying happy birthday to his teammate. I mean, it's some savage moves going on there. Brzezinski's getting blasted on Facebook by Stead and all. Ronte's in the – I don't even know what's going on. But all I know is I just think TMC's ready to just really ball out, and Young Kings just catch them at the wrong time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just they're probably just going to run into a buzzsaw here. But hopefully our guys, Young Kings, can at least make it a competitive game, get their spirits up.
They can. Look, if there's a team in this, look, if there's a team at the bottom of the rankings between Nick Strong and Young Kings, I think the Young Kings have the firepower to keep up with the TMC. They do. They have the firepower, but they got to hit their shots. Right.
They have the three-point shooting, guys like Destin and Whitman. And then they have Cash down there who can get some offensive rebounds, second chance points. They have the chances. The guys, they have the personnel to do it. They just got to be hot from three. That's their formula. They're going to be like the Rockets. The Rockets really are like people always associate the 3-point shooting with the Warriors, obviously because of the 3-point shooters that they have. But the Rockets are truly a team that, if you look at the numbers, Greg, they live and die by the three ball. And I feel like the Young Kings
beat them the other night.
The Young Kings are that team. Yeah, they did beat them. That was a crazy game. Spencer Dinwiddie, dude. I was watching that game. Spencer Dinwiddie was getting buckets before the buckets even mattered. Like, they were down like 9 and like a minute left. And he's hitting a three, and like, oh, Spencer Dinwiddie hits a three to make it a 6-point game. And then the Rockets keep missing free throws, and Dinwiddie's getting and
he's making threes. I'm just like,
I was like, what is going on, dude?
The best part about that Nets team is, most teams, they got stars, they got big names. You see every time Dinwiddie's hitting a shot, D'Angelo Russell standing up cheering him on, and that's what I love to see.
They got a young core, a young nucleus.
Jared Allen was pro.
Yeah, they really are like the Young Kings of the league. Just a young team with a bunch of potential. They just got to put it all together.
Shout out my boy, the Young Kings. I forget his name. Like Alex, I don't know his name. The dude with the mustache. I just call him Napoleon. That man can ball. He had a great game last week, and he started out hot. He really was balling, and I think he needs to be a little more aggressive. He really impressed me last week.
Yeah, number 0, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He was balling. He was hitting all his threes. He's got some swag. And Dave Picota, one of our interns, said that he's actually one of his childhood friends that he's played with for a long time, and he loves watching him play. So he actually
Xavier Lyons,
one of the analysts as well. So definitely. All right, Greg. Let's get into the next one, buddy. We spent a lot of time on those first two. Flint versus Nick Strong. I already know who you're picking. You already know who I'm picking. This is the Flint show, baby.
Flint! Tropical, baby. Corn dogs. Calling it corn dogs.
The JJ Watts, Greg, they have a chance?
Look, I love my boys, Nick Strong. I love my boys. I got my boy Greeny, got my boy Terry Crews. I love Nick Strong, man. They're such a fun. They're fun to watch, man. They have fun doing it. Like, they play around, mess around, and they're in every game, and they're good. But Flint's just too efficient this year, man. I mean, Flint's, like I told you, 51% from the field, 36% from three. Nick Strong is 7th in the league from field goal percentage and 8th from three. I know they do jack a lot of shots up. They do actually rebound very well and play good defense, but I think Flint's just too hot right now, and I think that TJ Gianni has a huge game. I think that Mike Dram's going to have a huge game and continue to stay hot. I think Bizzuto's ready. It'll be a good game. It'll definitely be a good game, but I think Flint will pull away at the end.
Yeah, I think that Flint will definitely be able to squeak it out just based on their offensive firepower compared to Nick Strong. I think they're a good enough defensive team where Nick Strong, won't be able to necessarily hold a lead for too long in this game.
It's so deep. They just got 9 like deep.
Yeah. They're kind of like the kryptonite for a Nick Strong. I feel like Nick Strong would fare well against a team that's more of a perimeter-based team. Just try to play good defense, force guys to miss their shots, and then just be productive on the offensive end. Like that's kind of like their formula.
Yep.
But the Flint Tropics are not going to give you any, easy stops. They're going to work the ball around. They're going to find shooters. They're going to find open driving lanes. They're going to play really tough defense. So I think that they're just the perfect team to take down a Nick Strong. But nonetheless, like we said, Nick Strong, bunch of upside. Hopefully these guys can get some momentum going, because we saw last year they are a sneaky team come playoff time that you really don't want that first round matchup with, because they can upset you and send you home with your tail between your legs. So Greg, let's move along to the last one before we wrap things up. This is probably the best game for the preview, man. Moose versus Rim. I think this one is like got the most in the air. I feel like that either team could win this one with a higher chance compared to the other teams that we just talked about. This is definitely, I think, the most competitive game. I think Moose though will win this game over the Rim Breakers, even just considering the fact that I think the Rim Breakers will show up shorthanded somehow, some way.
Look, I'm gonna go with my boy Rim Breakers on this one.
Let's go.
My boy Pooch. Pooch! Pooch is coming! 30, 15, add 4 assists. They're dropping the dimes. Pooch! I got Rim, baby. He going. Pooch is coming. Bronson's going to ball. McLeese is going to walk in there with his little Chinese KD. He's got a little like Chinese New Year KD's walking in. And he's going to have 20 and 10. Count that. And you know what I'm going to do? Show up on this show next week with a cigar and a bottle of Henny, wearing a McLeese jersey, and I'm going to have Pooch in the background. We're going to be smoking Black and Milds. Let's go, Rim.
All right, you heard it here first. Tune in next week. That'll be a perfect outro for me, as you'll catch Greg Horn doing his full-out Shannon Sharp impression with his guy Pooch. I don't think it's gonna happen. My guy Brad Seaman's gonna come through for me, back from his cruise.
Yeah, he was definitely
He wasn't sick. I'm sick. I'm feeling like shit. I know that Brad definitely. He looks better than me. He plays better than me. Brad is better than me. So, Greg, any last closing thoughts before we wrap this up officially?
I just want to get an egg, everyone, for listening. Shout out Rzinski for shooting a ball off his face and bricking it. It's my guy Rzinski, but I gotta. You're watching your team in the AFC ship. My team's at home, so I gotta steal those little jabs. By the way, perfect outro, Connor. Who you got in the playoff games?
Dude, I got Chiefs Nation, baby. Pat Mahomes, MV Pat, going all the way. I don't want any of these Patriots fans in our local area giving a shit for even going to the Super Bowl again. And I got the 6 Berg jerseys in the back. 6 rings. We on that mountaintop by ourselves. The Patriots are not allowed there. MV Pat's going to beat them. And then I got the Saints beating the Rams. I think Drew Brees is destined to be in the Super Bowl again. And if it's going to be anyone to beat the Saints, I hope it's the Chiefs, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
how about you? What do you got?
I agree with you, Saints. I think Brees is gonna ball. As a Panthers fan, I see Brees all the time. He's so good. Michael Thomas is a beast. But the AFC, I'm gonna go Brady. I think that Mahomes I think that it's gonna be a close game. Game-winning field goal. Classic Patriots nonsense and cheese. Brady wins on a game-winning field goal. Classic nonsense.
Yeah. Probably another will be invented in his favor. They'll have some game tapes or some deflated ball. Something will go right for them. But if Chris tuned in this late, I'm definitely going to get some texts from him. But let's wrap things up before things get crazy. Thank you to all the fans, players for tuning in. Follow us on all the social media, Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube, all of them. We're out here. We'll see you guys next week from Greg and Connor. We'll see you later.